Hi, welcome back to Outdoor Gear and Skills. It's been several weeks since we've gotten a video up. We had a home fire about a month ago that's displaced us. We're actually outside the hotel right now where we're staying while we're trying to get all that figured out. And I actually had surgery last week. I tore my bicep, so I've been in the sling for a week and a half. And so I've really kind of had to adapt how I do everything. It's really hard putting my shoes on. I can't tie my shoes yet. I can't straighten my arm. And so, I've had to adapt a lot, and it's kind of changed some of the things I did. But, it's really important, I think, the ability to adapt to changes in our environment, changes in our bodies, like as we age and certain things like that. I actually tore my bicep fighting off my 15 and 17-year-old sons that were trying to dunk me in a reservoir in Utah. And since I just had a birthday, I couldn't let that stand. So I paid a price for that. They did not dunk me, but I have to adapt. And I'm a very right-hand dominant individual, so it's been difficult. But adaptability is really important. And that's one of the great things about us as human beings, that we have a tremendous capacity to adapt to changes, whether we make that change ourselves or it's forced upon us. And I really like Warrior Poet Society. I love a lot of John's videos. He talks a lot about adapting and changing things in our gear and how we carry things. I'm a big fan of the Night Eyes S beaners. And so I've got several right here. 4 different kinds that I've carried on here, and I've been using these for quite a while. So the original ones I started with were both plastic and metal. All right, so the original S beaners from Night Eyes that I started using were the pretty basic ones. They were both plastic and metal. I started with the metal and the plastic first. The metal is a little bit bigger. These are really handy. We'd use them to put keys on a main key ring. For us, we would use it for our post office box. We could keep key in the ignition. If my wife or one of my kids or whatever wanted to stay in the car, we could keep the car running, unclip this, go get the mail and come back. So they're really nice for that. You're not having to have your whole key set with you. I've got a house key on one of these in my Camelback that I take mountain biking with me. The metal are a lot more reliable. They're a little bit bigger too than the plastic ones. So I don't buy the plastic ones. I think I bought them years ago when I couldn't find any of the metal ones. And I just really don't like the plastic very much. But the concept is great. And then what they did, and I'll just have to see if I can crank this here since I don't have a lot of strength yet. But they made a locking mechanism on both the plastic and the metal. And it's a really good locking mechanism. And this comes in really handy. But again, plastic and metal. I bought these plastic with the locking mechanism before I found metal ones with the locking mechanism. So I'm just really kind of using the plastic on something that is not overly important. So we went camping after the fire in our house a few weeks ago. We went to a really pretty area called Toketee. I had the key for my roof bike rack on the keychain, and then it disappeared. I looked all over the place. I couldn't find it. I had it on one of the just traditional metal S beaners. And when I drove home from camping, so I could go get the MRI done on my arm, when I got home, I found that key had fallen off, and it was not tucked under the seat, but it fell right in front of the seat, and I didn't see it. So I immediately went and bought the locking S beaners. That way I can put it on, I can lock it. It's a really strong mechanism that just twists, and then it keeps the metal part from moving. And so I really am liking that setup. And so I've just kind of adapted some of the gear that I have. When our fire happened, we had to dump out all of the contents of our 72-hour kits, our hiking backpacks, all the Camelbacks and things I had. So right now at home in the garage, I have buckets of gear. A lot of it is redundant and things like that, or stuff that I've gotten that I thought was, something I would use and I haven't. So I'll be going through a lot of that as my arm kind of heals up and I get into that. Also, what I've had to adapt recently was I was using this shoulder bag, and it's a right-handed shoulder bag, and I'd go over my shoulder, and with my arm in a sling, it's not the most convenient. I really like it. Other than that, it's got some great pockets on it and all that. It's really good. I went back to this that I got probably over 20 years ago at an Army surplus store in Utah. And the nice thing about this is that I can just throw it on my shoulder. I can keep it dominant on my left side, or a lot of times when I'm going to be walking around, I can get it on my left side, and it's really kind of off my arm and everything like that. I'm not quite sure when this gets all healed up and I'm able to get full mobility back and all of that, kind of which bag I'm using. But the concept of changing and adapting and replacing the gear that we use, sometimes we find gear that's better to replace something. Sometimes we find that we carry something that we just don't need. I've added things in here like a pair of channel locks and a wrench and different things like that. So I just have a quick tool that I can do a lot of different things with. So I think it's always good to kind of change and review what we're doing and just see what kind of things we can do to improve what we're going. That goes for our gear, that goes for our mindset, that goes for our skill sets. If you have any comments, please drop them in the box below. I'd love to hear kind of what your thoughts are, what your experiences are with adaptability and how you may have used that in your life. Until then, be safe, be free, and thanks for watching our video.